Good afternoon and good morning to those of you on the West Coast. Our Avaap and Workday team I really appreciate the opportunity to meet with you all, and we'll kick things off with some introductions, but we will provide a brief overview of the program we're talking about today called Avaap One that we're really excited to partner with Workday on and introduce to smaller and mid-sized higher education institutions. So I will go first. My name is Amy Lahate. I lead Avaap's higher ed sales practice. I've been helping institutions implement and optimize ERP systems for the past 20 years or so in the higher ed space. I started my career in higher education, working in student services, career services at MIT and American University. And then I spent about 14 years working at Ellucian, implementing student information systems and managing Banner and Colleague and a couple Power Campus customers. I moved over to the Workday ecosystem around 2017, and I haven't looked back since. I'm super excited to be here with you all today, and I'm going to pass it over to Analia to introduce herself.
Analia Morrow. I serve as our customer success and innovation focus for AVAP, and I've been in the higher education ecosystem. I like to say I stopped counting at 29 years because none of us ever age after that, right? But I came from the client side as a registrar, associate vice president for enrollment management. I've been a graduate faculty member for many years and love working with institutions on their transformation, especially since I came from the client side in the Workday ecosystem more than 10 years ago. The first school to go live with recruiting and admissions in Workday Student, and have continued in that space, watching students grow and evolve. So, speaking of which, I know TJ, that's how our paths crossed. So, welcome to introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm TJ Rains, and I serve as Managing Director for Higher Education at Workday. I like to tell folks that I went to school and never left, right? It seems that way. I've been in higher education for 25 years and made the transition to Workday from holding roles such as CIO, Chief Transformation Officer in higher education, both public and privates, just this last year. So excited to be here, and I'm excited to really help tell the story about Workday and AVAP's approach to really making Workday more accessible to small to mid-sized institutions.
Perfect. Thank you both. So, just a little housekeeping to start. The session will be recorded and it's going to be distributed to any of the institutions that registered. So we will send that recording link out within the next couple of days, typically by tomorrow. We have all participants muted, but please feel free to post questions or comments in the chat, and our team will monitor those. We do have some material we're going to walk through, but we'll have some open Q&A time too that we can address those questions towards the end. And just finally wanted to say thank you to our colleagues at Workday and TJ for co-sponsoring today's discussion. We're excited to be able to do this together. So I'd like to just familiarize you all, for those of you who don't know AVAP. AVAP is a Workday certified implementation partner, and we've been working and partnering in the higher ed space for over 20 years on transformation initiatives. So we have about 350 consultants who provide end-to-end technology transformation services from project readiness through the implementation to post-production support, as well as change management and data and analytics services. So this is a snapshot of some of the institutions we've worked with over the years, and I've highlighted some of our Workday implementations in the middle. And then finally, this is just a high-level overview of the breadth and depth of our offerings. So, we specialize in a variety of other solutions partners, as you can see on the right, in the data and analytics space. And then some of our subspecialties include understanding the impact of AI on your business. And again, mention that project readiness, stakeholder alignment, that upfront strategy, as well as change management. So I'm going to pass it over to TJ to provide an overview of Workday's offerings.
Excellent. Thank you, Amy. It's so great to be here with everyone and really highlighting Workday's commitment to higher education. It's not just a tagline. We are very, very much committed to higher education from Workday's founding. And Michael Hoffer, our Senior VP and Group GM for Industry at Workday really says it very well here. And I'll go right to the bottom, which is our goal is to ensure that our customers are not just facing the future, but confidently leading it. Leading the future of higher education is, significantly challenging at this point because there are so many uncertainties in the mix, and we all feel it. And we are actively working with our customers to develop the platform, the next generation platform, to really ensure agility within our institutional customers and really help develop that platform based upon the changes that occur in the space. So, just to highlight a few key stats here, we have over 458 workmate years of higher education experience in the product strategy team alone, and this really helps to ensure that we are aligning the Workday product features and capabilities with the direct needs of the community. In addition to that, we've had over 1,100 higher education summit attendees at this year's Rising event, which is our annual conference, customer conference. And we had a higher education summit that happened before the Rising conference. And it's a great opportunity to share. And one thing that is very clear and that I love about the higher education community is our openness to sharing. So, with that, we are a market leader in the space, and our platform really does enable agility. Next slide, please. Great. So just to highlight some of the key elements of Workday, we provide a holistic platform for university operations, including HCM, payroll, financial management, student. But we've invested heavily in building out, an open platform to support built-on Workday capabilities from partners. And what this allows institutions to do is to develop new capabilities within the Workday platform, leverage built-on Workday products developed by third-party partners that have been very well vetted, and really helping to create that extensible platform for the future, all based upon the core Workday platform and our secure, reliable, configurable, extensible, and AI based ecosystem. So Illuminate AI is Workday's AI portfolio, and we are focusing significant effort on building the platform for agentic AI for higher education. And so we'll touch a little bit on that here in the next few minutes. But I'm happy to be here and excited for the next generation of customers coming down the pipe. And so what we've seen in the market is that in the past, Workday has not been as easily accessible for small to mid-sized institutions. Now, what we are working with Avaap on is making that change, right? With a more prescribed, right-sized packaging and approach for implementing Workday at these smaller to mid-sized institutions, which is focusing on speed and a total lower cost of ownership in deployment, really enabling institutions to grow and take advantage of the investment in Workday, but the investment in institutional performance, more importantly, and allowing institutions to continuously innovate their business processes based upon Workday's capabilities and the features and functions that are available. And so with that in mind, we are very, very excited to work with Avaap to introduce Avaap One as we move forward. So with that, I'll turn it back over to the Avaap team.
Yeah, Amy, why don't you talk to us about Avaap One? I know being in higher ed, the things that I've seen, I know you talked a little bit, TJ, about the agentic AI at Rising, just looking at the ability for the transcript and the transfer process and the way that we can find efficiencies. So exciting to me. And as someone who has worked at a smaller institution in the past, I know sometimes it does seem like it's out of reach. So, Amy, why don't you talk a little bit about our Avaap One project?
Absolutely. So our goal is really simple. It's to deliver a cost-effective option for small to mid-sized institutions, like as we've talked about, so you can finally take advantage of a modern enterprise-grade ERP system like Workday. So just looking at the approach in the middle there, we're starting with a pre-configured higher education tenant that's designed based on higher education best practices that we've learned through the years. And then we've also taken this as an opportunity to change the way we deliver and message the value of Workday to institutions, taking a more role-driven, competency-based approach that we find just makes more sense and it simplifies things and helps to make the implementation process feel less overwhelming to our customers. We're also innovating, so we're integrating AI. We are going to be talking about that further in greater detail. Really focusing in on automating manual, repetitive work so we can focus on more of that value add, that engagement with our consultants, and always keeping a human within the loop. And then lastly, we have our solution center. So this is a dedicated team of our Avaap One experts that will deliver not only the implementation, but a set of ongoing comprehensive wraparound support services to ensure long-term success. So right at the bottom, we have two options that I'm going to talk further about. Avaap One Essentials, that includes a streamlined fixed scope deployment, takes the guesswork out of what you need to go live. We can take a look at what that scope looks like. It includes 1 year of ongoing support and embedded change management throughout. And then we have Avaap One Total Care, and that is our more comprehensive deployment support package. So it's everything in Essentials, plus we've extended ongoing support, expanded change management, and additional wraparound services. And that's really designed for institutions that want to have every aspect of their workday journey managed by a single partner. So first, let's take a look at Essentials. So I had already mentioned that we're combining our industry pre-configured tenant with AI-enabled tooling and that competency-based approach. But the goal is to give you all a faster time to value. And we want to try to reduce some of those upfront decisions and automate some of the repetitive builds that we've gotten really good at and testing and taking some of that burden off of our clients, especially smaller institutions when we know you can be really resource strapped. And then we focus more on the people side of things, on the actual knowledge transfer, on user adoption, getting to understand how to use the system. On number two, we offer competitive fixed fee pricing with the Essentials package. It's really predictable quarterly payments. We have flexible payment options that I'm going to talk about. Should your institution be interested in that? And then one differentiator for Avaap's Avaap One offering is that we are one of the few approved Workday resellers. So we work very closely with Workday, but you can purchase your Workday subscription and your implementation within one contract. And we offer it at a discount if you take advantage of that. And then it just helps to streamline the contracting process as well and speeds up us being able to start the project. And then we have ongoing support. So when we think about stabilization, ongoing maintenance, continuous optimization post go live, we'll be digging into what some of those services look like. But I think one key difference in our approach is Analia does a really good job of bringing our customer community together so they can share solutions. We have this program called TIPS, Transformation Insight Partners. And we make sure that you're not only learning from us, but you're learning from other customers going through the same things you're going through in the trenches. So when we take a look at the actual package, I've included, now some of this, if you're not familiar with some of the Workday terminology, I've included what we call SKUs by package up at the top. So, HR, human capital management, financials, and so on and so forth. And you'll get these slides. So I know some of the text is small, but there's some details around what modules are included. But, oops, sorry, I just jumped ahead here. Let me come back. One other thing I wanted to point out is not listed here, but our timelines are shorter. So we're focused on that faster time to value. So traditionally, we might deploy Workday in, say, platform, HR and finance and payroll in 12 months. Instead, we're actually trying to move towards that faster time to value via more of a rapid style prescriptive deployment in 6 months. And then we have that entire year of stabilization and optimization that you can take advantage of. I think I'll skip going over some of the SKUs for now. You can have those in the takeaways, but if you have questions on those in the chat, you can feel free to post those. One thing I did want to also call out for the Essentials package is that we have that 1 year of ongoing support. So this includes post-production troubleshooting. So We get all those after you go live. How do I do this? How to type questions. And, if you're familiar with AMS models, managed service models, it's like level 1 through 2, maybe level 3 type support. That is included in the package, as well as release management guidance. Workday has their 2 biannual releases, and then there's some more frequent ones. So our team provides support around that. We will go in and take a look at what are some custom reports that you need built that weren't part of the original deployment, additional integrations, security reviews, and then ongoing optimization. I was just on with one of our practice directors in the HCM space this morning, and we were talking about benefits and open enrollment. And oftentimes, you may not have your benefits specialist, or they may not have the new plans and the rates available during the implementation process. So our support team is going to work with you and your benefit specialist to expand that functionality post go live. Also, I would say when we take a look at what is so critical for this type of approach to work when you're trying to do faster time to value, change management is so critical. So we've built in these workshops that focus on getting your people ready, helping you with communication strategy, identifying who your change champions on campus are, helping to align your stakeholders, then that training and adoption strategy. So there's Workday training you're going to need to take advantage of, as well as our own Avaap training materials. And we provide a lot of tools and templates and more of a train the trainer type of approach in Essentials. And we have additional, more expanded change management options you can take advantage of. And here are some of those examples. So let's talk about our total care option. It's basically everything I just talked about in Essentials, but we wanted to be able to include some additional wraparound services that so many of you come to us and ask for. So total care includes all of the services that you see on the screen, and I'll talk about each one. But what's nice is we've made these also available on an a la carte basis to our Essentials customers. Should you say, you know what, I'm good in maybe I have a change management function internally. We might try to build an in-house support function, but we really need help getting our data ready. So if I were to take a look at each one, though, if you went with total care, you would get all of these things. We really serve as a true extension of the client's support team. So for that first one, we have fully outsourced managed services, essentially taking on the care and the feeding of the system. And that means even applying those biannual releases and the updates and guidance, much more detailed hands-on guidance related to that. And for that option, we have 3 years for platform customers. That's that HCM, finance, and payroll, and 5 years for your enterprise, meaning including student. When we look at change management, we actually had called this transformation services before, but because we are already doing some readiness that Annalia is going to talk about a little bit later, that was focused on helping you with the project vision, your guiding principles, governance, upfront, stakeholder alignment. We were getting requests already from prospective customers to say, we want to have much more expanded change management. We want you to be in their hands-on, not just, doing more of a train the trainer approach, but taking on a lot of that change management function. So that is where we have kind of tweaked that total care option. Staff augmentation, it's pretty much, what you think it is when we talk about you're moving quickly and your team needs to be able to try to focus on your day jobs and the project at the same time. So we've recognized that need and we've built in a bucket of hours. And, this is all part of the scope to say if your payroll manager needs to be freed up, let's carve out what that looks like. And we do a whole resourcing analysis and come up with a resourcing strategy and how we might use these staff augmentation hours to support you all through the implementation. The last two are kind of similar. These are extra hours to give your team additional support around data conversion. So not just the extraction and the migration, but getting the data ready. We have a lot of really incredible data experts that have automated repeatable workflows and templates to help you prepare and cleanse, transform that data before we, obviously migrated it over. And then integrations. This is a prescriptive scope, so we can't include every integration that you have. We have a fixed scope, but if you really say, you know what, I can't take on any of the integrations effort. We have a certain percentage, between 10 to 20%, that we have the customers taking on for more simple integrations, and we do a train the trainer approach on that. If you want us to cover everything, then we build in that integration support. So I just covered a lot. I will pause. I don't know if Analia or TJ, if you have any comments. I only had one more item I was going to hit on, the payment plan, and I know we're going to talk about some more fun stuff after this related to AI. So I guess I'll just add the last one. Payment plans. This is a big thing that comes up on the sales side of the house, just because we know how payment flexibility is really necessary. It's not just important, it's necessary these days. So we made sure that when we think about, you have those upfront costs, you're still paying on your legacy system, we wanted to be able to provide that option to incorporate some payment plan flexibility. So for enterprise customers, we can spread payments out over a 5-year period instead of just in that implementation window. And you can actually meet one-on-one with our CFO to come up with a tailored payment schedule, which has been really well received by our customers. So just thought it was important to share that as well. All
And
right.
Katie, I know you didn't see the comment, but one of our attendees said that it loves that we've heard the feedback and about the additional needs from small institutions outside of the base implementation, and that absolutely has been how we approached this Avaap One offering. What's going to be most helpful to you? If we can go to the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about how we've approached AI as well, because it's all about how we can take some of the heavy lifting off of the client teams who we know are wearing so many hats and stretched so thin. Um, we know that during the discovery period, it feels like we're asking the same question 20 times, maybe by different folks, and we may still ask 15 times. No, not that many. As many times as we can use AI to help leverage what we already know about you as we deploy and help give us insights. That's a good use of AI. And that's been our guiding vision for as we move through creating AI agents in the next several months and over the next year. It's about how can we give you better assistance with some of the manual tasks, give us better insights into your data and quality, whether that's helping you test, looking at how your legacy system was configured, and some insights to help translate those terms between the legacy system and Workday, whatever those are, from a client first perspective, to assist you in making better decisions and faster time to value. And TJ, I know that better insights and assisting with decisions has been a core approach from Workday as well. So why don't you talk about how Workday is enabling AI and assisting folks?
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it. And it's great to see, how deeply AI is being embedded into the implementation process with Avaap One. I'm really excited to see the impacts that we're going to have and really driving down, the time to value for new implementations. And AI, has been on all the rage for some time now. But what we're starting to see right now is AI becoming much more directly oriented towards improving efficiencies, not only in implementations as we've discussed with Avaap One, but for the operations of institutions of higher education in particular, right? And so our approach to AI at Workday is that human and AI collaborate to create efficiencies in an organization's operation, right? Allowing more one-on-one time with your team, more strategic thinking, and applying emotional intelligence to really help cross-team engagement, to really drive the core of why we're here, which is to support the student experience and to really drive those more high-value add activities versus managing the minutia of day-to-day tasks, right? Those are important aspects of all of our jobs. But with agents, we have the ability to really share that workload. So, with Workday, our approach is to always have a human in the loop, right? And the Illuminate AI strategy at Workday cuts across all of our products and impacts all segments of the market that we serve. Next slide, please. So I just want to highlight a few things here because this is very, very critical for your AI strategy as an institution moving forward. What Workday does in terms of AI, there are a couple different aspects to it. I want to hit two in particular: machine learning capabilities that are embedded into the product, generative AI capabilities that are embedded into the product as well. But also, the next horizon is agentic AI. And so, with Workday, we view agents as being a way to improve efficiencies at scale within an operation. And this is not only Workday agents that are developed by Workday, deployed within our platform, but also agents that are developed by third parties as well. We have a wonderful partner arrangement with Google and with Microsoft to develop and interoperate agents between our partners. And really, what this allows us to do is have one centralized environment for managing agents that manage your enterprise operation in many ways. So we call that the agent system of record, and it allows you to manage the security, provisioning, the tasks for which agents have responsibility for executing, and the privacy rules associated with those as well. In essence, establishing guardrails and managing agents in a very similar way to managing employees. So we have a lot of experience in doing that with Workday, and now we're just taking it to the next level in managing agents, both internally to Workday and those that are developed outside of Workday that interact with Workday and other systems within your portfolio.
So let me talk a little bit about how we can help you prepare. And we have had a question that comes in that goes with TJ's overview of how Workday is utilizing AI. The question is, are we, Avaap, using AI to do crosswalks as documented processes with Workday to accelerate the implementation? We've been doing some crosswalks even without AI because of many of our consultants' experience with many legacy systems, either converting or working in those legacy systems themselves. So we've been assisting with those crosswalks as often as possible in the past. And absolutely, we are leveraging AI where we can to continue those insights and helping, I like to say, turn on the light bulbs a little faster so that you understand what those decisions are. Um, Also, a question about sharing insights across institutions. We are very involved in the regional user communities and not only our own clients, but others within the higher education space. Coming from higher ed, I know how important it is to share insights. So within our own community, we pull together the Transformation Insight Partners program, where we might share some of those crosswalks, some of the things that other clients have found to make a decision more efficient or a process more efficient. And so we're always looking for other opportunities to have those conversations and help you feel like you are understanding what others who've gone before you are doing, or you might want to talk about an issue together and find the most common resolution. So keep the questions coming. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about how we help institutions prepare. I like to say that if you haven't decided anything, you know you want to look at your data, regardless of what legacy system you're on, understanding how you access your data, what it looks like, starting to make those transformation decisions now is the right start. If you are not sure how to look at your legacy system versus Workday, our advisory team does have an offering to help you with that feasibility study. Are you ready? What kinds of things could you get by leveraging Workday or other systems? If you're looking at the student product in particular, and whether or not that will meet your needs, we also have experts that look at that. But regardless of where you're starting on your journey, we understand that starting strong with readiness is critical. And so we embed a phase zero mini project with all of our deployments where we're aligning with all of the executive leaders on what they should expect, how they can lead the teams, making sure that the project management office, understands how to see around corners, what's next for them, what they can expect in the first 30, 60, 90 days, setting up all of those tools. Amy talked a little bit about our change management focus, and we understand even though this is Avaap One is a more efficient and prescribed deployment, that means that the technology is a little more prescribed, but this is still a people project, right? We know that the people still need to understand what's coming and how it's going to impact them. So we have embedded change management in all of our projects, including Avaap One. It's really important for us to understand the state of affairs. What do you have in the legacy system? What are the processes today? And do that full analysis so that we understand where the change impact is and where we may need to have some more conversations. Resource evaluation. As we've said before, we understand that folks at small institutions are wearing multiple hats, and we want to have a very transparent conversation about what this timeline is going to look like, how it's going to impact your resources, how we can help if that's needed, and how you can best be successful. And then finally, technical workshops. I gave you a sneak peek ahead of time that you should certainly be working on your data and how you access that. But we will do a deep dive into your integrations and data and make sure that the data and technical teams are aligned and ready to jump in on the project. So all of these things help establish a foundation where you are informed, we are all aligned on how you can be successful, because as we've said, it's a fast-paced project, but we want to be sure that all of the people involved and the culture of the institution are ready for this. So I think we're going to turn it over to some questions and answer those as they come up. I think we probably gave folks a lot to think about because we threw out a little AI and a little bit of efficiency and change management. We have a question, is our methodology aligned with ProSci? We actually were the only certified ProSci partner in the United States until recently, and we have an extensive change management practice of over 80 practitioners. And we actually took what we felt was the best from ProSci and created our own change management um, uh, methodology. And so we have a change academy, and our change practitioners, many continue to be ProSci certified. I myself am as well. But we also leverage our own Avaap change management methodology and use all of the experiences we've had to help clients be most successful.
Thanks, Annalia. I was just going to add into the chat that I'm going to post some additional details on our change management essentials package too.
Great, great. So Amy, I don't know if there
Also,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I was just going to say, I love the call out to Cotter. Just as a change management nerd, I've worked with the Cotter organization for years, and yeah, my perspective on change management is, pick an approach that aligns with your culture and that will not be too disruptive, but allows you to ease into the new model. So yeah, it could be Cotter, ProSci. Avaap has done a great job in really casting, kind of a best of both worlds type model to support change at your institution.
And there was a question about when the slide deck and the recording will be available, probably tomorrow. We will send both of those. So we want to get it in your hands as soon as possible. And if you have additional questions on how we can support you, both with our workday preparation and deployment activities and some of those other things that you may have going on. I know that the world does not stop for you to do a workday deployment, unfortunately. So data and analytics and data warehouse, organizational change management, all of those things that you may be focused on.
Yeah, and I would add that we're open to feedback. We're really trying to listen, and hopefully
Yeah.
that's evident. And so, if you see something and you think either something's missing in our offering, or there's any kind of just general feedback on updates or modifications, we're still developing the model. So we would love feedback.
Well, this is a good question. We have one about if we're seeing a request for shared services across universities and colleges. And first, I'll say we're probably seeing that as many times as there are definitions of shared services. Because I think that everyone has a slightly different view. We see everything from wanting to share resources as they do a deployment to truly pulling together the AP function or payroll functions at organizations. TJ, do you want to take it from the Workday side and
Oh,
what
I
you're
would love
seeing?
to.
I
I
knew
would.
you would.
Yeah, we are seeing significant movement in the mergers and acquisition space, but also really, some additional focus on system-wide implementations where multiple institutions within a system utilize a single tenant infrastructure to support their operations, right? So multiple institutions, one tenant, which is an enabler for shared services across multiple institutions. So we're seeing this really. This is a new trend. I guess I can still say new. We started seeing it occurring about 2 years ago, and now it's really, really picking up pace. And so, Workday has a key differentiator in that we support not only the mergers and acquisitions type use cases, where one institution is acquiring another institution and would like to add them into their tenant environment, but also the system-wide or consortium-wide model as well. So yes, this is very exciting times, and Workday is well positioned to support, the multi-institutional single tenant model.
Wonderful. I appreciate that. And as Amy said, we absolutely are taking the opportunity to listen. If you knew how many versions of this deck Amy has gone through as she got input from Workday, from institutions, she's done a wonderful job leading us through trying to come up with this version that I'm sure will continue to evolve. But it's so exciting to be able to even think about a project, an offering that can bring this kind of innovation to smaller institutions than have been available to them before.
Yeah. And I would say going back to the multi-institution implementation, we've been having a number of conversations with certain states that are interested, like small institutions or within regions. So if you are interested in having a conversation and exploring it, we would love to be able to do that. My contact information is on the next slide. So what other questions do we have? Looks like we have another one.
Yeah. So
Cross.
there's a question about cross-registration implementations and where they may still be on their own or banner. I think that we see that cross-registration implementation, much like the shared services, need to sometimes have a clarity on the definition and what folks mean. Certainly, if it's the most simplistic definition, we see that in a multi-institution tenant, but we regularly go through deployments where student remains in your example. Your question is about staying in Banner as you're doing the platform deployment. And so we support that, of course, as we go through the platform implementation. And we are having lots of discussions on the positive that they get when they move to one single unified system, letting student be that system of record for student as well as they move forward. TJ, do you want to also talk about the cross registration from the Workday standpoint and what you've seen?
Sure, sure. So we continue to work with customers who have cross registration requirements and working to develop a path forward. As Annalise said earlier, requirements are different based upon institution in terms of what level of cross reg is required, and we do provide pathways. However, we continue to view this as being a priority moving forward for the multi-tenant setup. So it's definitely top of mind for us, but yeah, we have a lot of different models that are available depending on the situation that the customer has. So of course, deep discovery is always required. to determine, what level of cross-reg is necessary. And whenever we encounter those requirements, we go through a pretty deep effort in understanding the challenges and how we can address them. And so, yeah, that's where we stand on cross-reg.
Yeah, great. I know that Amy mentioned that the SKUs that are in that prescriptive implementation, and I think it's important to note that the full SKU is available to you. We may have some guardrails that we found help you to that faster time to value. And then as you move into stabilization or optimization, you can expand those or change. But we have a conversation to make sure that that prescriptive implementation works for you. And Amy, I know you spoke with lots of institutions as we came up with that scope. Anything that you would like to talk about where some of those guardrails may be?
I mean, I think that's where you have to acknowledge like this implementation is not for everyone. And we're very clear about that when as a salesperson, I guess I shouldn't say that, but when we meet with you, we really want to make sure we're setting the proper expectations. So it is really thinking about how do you get to that faster time to value. So instead of when you talk about number of widgets and saying, I'm going to have 5 offer letter templates, we might be building out 1 offer letter template. And then we talk about and teach you how to do it. And then we say, okay, during the support period with your support hours in that first year, do you want us to create a second customized one? So we're very clear in stepping through the scope to say, there's not going to be a ton of, in the dirty word, of customization going on. There will be more generic templates starting out when you think about you have to do things quickly in a prescriptive approach based on best practices. I'd say that's the biggest difference. Like you're going to get, pre-delivered prescriptive business processes based on best practice. Same thing with security. It will not be heavily customized up front. And then our team is going to talk about a plan and our account managers to say, this is how we're going to approach the optimization and expansion of functionality. And we're excited about the approach because a lot of the times you actually get to learn the product more about Workday by the time you go live. So you're going to make more informed and better decisions on those when you expand and optimize the system.
Yeah.
TJ and Analia, feel free to add to that.
Yeah, I think one of the value adds of the model is that we focus on best practices based business processes, right? And there is room for adjustment, but really what this helps institutions do is focus on simplification. Oftentimes over the years, business processes have grown unwieldy, right? And when you take a best practices approach, and you simplify the approach that you're going to take for business process design, it often leads to a much more simplified process in the long run. So, with that in mind, there are additional benefits to taking this model forward.
Yeah, and then I'd go back to when we really think about qualifying and saying, is Avaap One a fit for your institution? We want to think about the other functionality you have. There's kind of the base essentials to go live on Workday, but there's also additional functionality that a lot of our customers, frankly, don't get to until after a traditional implementation anyway. And that might be getting into more custom reporting, and there's other add-on solutions that we talk about that can be done after go live.
And there was a question about if customers have the opportunity to review those prescriptive processes prior to the implementation. Absolutely. Before we ever start, we want to be very clear on what the guardrails are. And as Amy said, make sure that this approach is going to work well for you and that it's going to support the culture. We know that we're bringing best practices to the table, but we want to be sure that you understand what all of those things are before we get started.
Yeah, and we would offer up like if you want to have a conversation where it's just a few members of your institution, me and Analia and a couple members of our team, we can actually walk through those business processes and what the scope entails. So and have more of a one-on-one conversation.
Sure. Lots of great questions.
I know.
About this. So as you get the deck and the recording, as I said, if other questions come to you, Amy, if you want to show your contact information, you can definitely reach out to her directly. You'll get respond to our marketing email that'll have the deck. We're happy to have one-on-one conversations, happy to continue answering questions and and chatting with you about if this is the right approach. But we're excited about this new offering and being able to talk with you about it.
Yeah. And if there's a separate like deeper dive, this is our first webinar on Avaap One, so we can do a spin-off webinar and focus in on wraparound services. Anything that's of interest to you, we're happy to do that.
Mhm. I think you'll find we are pretty flexible.
I
Thank you,
know.
Amy. Thank you, TJ. This has been wonderful spending time with you.
Yeah, no, it's been
Thank
great.
you.
I think our questions have stopped coming in. So, yeah, I appreciate your time. TJ, definitely appreciate you joining us today.
Oh,
Thank you so
anytime. It's
much.
always a pleasure working with you all.
Fantastic. Well, I think we are done for the day. Hope you have a great rest of your week, and we will be in touch with the recording in the deck. So, thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye bye.